From electronics to big old hyenas, these are 10 of the biggest and weirdest things that snakes have ever managed to swallow whole. Number 10. Fate of a sheep mama. Sadly, whenever a snake feasts, something else must be that feast. Not every snake is carnivorous, but a lot of them are, and they have been known to take down lots of different kinds of prey. This was the unfortunate fate of a sheep. Now, this is going to be emotional, of course. Well, make that the unfortunate fate of a pregnant sheep. Sadly, moms-to-be are not immune from the snake's appetite. The perpetrator of this heinous crime is none other than the Burmese python. Living deep inside the jungles of East Asia, these pythons can grow up to a massive 12 feet to 16 feet long, and these pythons can weigh somewhere between 25 to 80 pounds. Do you believe in karma? It is said that karma can really exact its revenge on you in the wrong circumstances, and that is exactly what happened to this Burmese python that swallowed the pregnant sheep. The mama sheep was so big that after swallowing, the python couldn't even digest his meal, let alone move. He was stuck. This is when villagers in the Malaysian village of Jabor called the firefighters to remove this unfortunate python. We don't know what happened after that, but we did find out that eventually the python had regurgitated its oversized meal. I guess that's what happens when your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Number 9. Eating more than you can chew. Now, this seems crazy. In 2018, a Burmese python in Florida who weighed only 32 pounds swallowed a young deer who was 35 pounds. Crazy, isn't it? Not many animals can swallow more than their own body mass. To put that in perspective, a typical human eats about 4 to 5 pounds of food every day. That means this snake ate the equivalent of 100 meals all at once. That's the way they are built, though. But if that surprises you, hold on and keep watching. You'll drop your jaw wider than a snake's soon enough. What's the most you've ever eaten in one sitting, though? Did you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet and have a serious attempt to eat literally all you could? Or did you undertake a food challenge to eat a certain oversized meal in a limited amount of time? Tell me about your wildest overeating adventures in the comments below. Then be sure to subscribe to The Biggest for more fun videos just like this one. Number 8. The unfortunate hyena. On the savannas of Africa, packs of hyenas are a formidable force to reckon with and a fierce predator and a scavenger. Well, as it turns out, their strength lies in numbers mostly. Now, why is that important to keep in mind? Take a look at what happened to one of them when it was alone, and you'll see why. This incident was recorded by a group of scientists and researchers during one of their field visits in the southwest region of Kenya. They came across a massive 13-foot-long African rock python that was still swallowing a 150-pound hyena. Incredible and gross at the same time, isn't it? Now, here's the fun fact about this. Although African rock pythons are known to swallow meals as big as this hyena, they often don't weigh as much as their meals. An average rock python only weighs between 70 and 120 pounds and can grow up to 16 feet long. Again, imagine yourself eating a pizza as big as a queen-sized bed. These snakes do it all the time. Animal behaviorists say that such incidents are rare. Pythons can interact with other predators, mainly since their cubs are on the menu. But listen to this. Karma always strikes back. Pythons are extremely vulnerable in the digesting period after swallowing such big meals, and in turn could fall prey to predators like, you guessed it, the very same hyenas they prey on. That's in addition to others such as lions and leopards. So if I were a snake, I would probably try to keep my meals to a more normal size. Number 7. The monitor lizard. Back in November 2017, just in time for Thanksgiving, a Burmese python was having a different kind of Thanksgiving on his own, all by himself. The guy was feasting, or rather swallowing, a giant monitor lizard, and the video went viral. Well, as gross as it could be, you don't get to see a python celebrating Thanksgiving with a big lizard every day, right? On average, a monitor lizard can grow well beyond 3 feet long and can weigh above 50 pounds. And believe me when I tell you, it is a super heavy task to capture one, especially with its speed and aggression. And after defeating it in battle, then swallowing one? Well, I don't know how this python pulled it off, but it did. A monitor lizard is no easy opponent, and it would probably have eaten the python if the shoe were on the other foot. However, to the victor go the spoils, and in the animal kingdom, that means the winner gets to eat the loser. That goes double if the winner is a hungry snake. Number 6, the king of the swamps. American alligators are the kings of the wetlands and swamps of Florida, and if someone tries to steal the title away from them, you can bet that these heavyweights will not go down without a fight. And this is what happens when an outsider, a Burmese python, challenges an American alligator. Now, wait a minute. Think about this. A Burmese python? What on earth is a Burmese python doing in Florida? Good question. As it turns out, these Burmese pythons are an invader in the American ecosystem. That is to say that they are not there naturally, but were brought there and released. However, since the temperature and climate conditions are just perfect for the Burmese python, some of them have survived. And this one went after the big one, the American alligator. As it turned out, the fight took the toll on both of them, and sadly, both lost. After a heated battle, the Burmese python was able to crush the alligator and swallow it partially. Yes, partially. Do you know what happened then? The python exploded. Yes, exploded. It ruptured and died, possibly because the alligator had inflicted serious damage to it. Now that is sort of a dramatic Shakespearean end to it, isn't it? Speaking of dramas and explosions, haven't you subscribed to The Biggest yet? Go ahead, hit the subscribe button and the bell to stay updated. More explosive videos are coming out every week. Number 5, python who ran out of luck. Now, when you look at this list, obviously, it should come to your mind that pythons are the kings among snakes when it comes to swallowing all things big and bizarre. Now you have to see some examples to show that it's not the case. And sometimes even the big bad pythons have really bad days, like days where they end up in the stomach of another snake. This happened in Down Under in Australia in a backyard in the countryside. A brief brawl occurred between a venomous eastern brown snake and a carpet python. Now both of these fellows are among the deadliest snakes in Australia, as the venom of an eastern brown snake can kill you within half an hour if you don't make it to a hospital. And the carpet pythons can give a painful bite with their teeth and swallow just about anything. This day, however, the carpet python couldn't live up to its reputation. It was stung by the venomous eastern brown snake and died. Then it was swallowed. But here's the fun part, the carpet python was larger than the eastern brown snake. While an eastern brown could grow as long as 7 feet, a carpet python could grow up to 10 feet long. That must have been one satisfying meal. How does that work anyway? How does one snake eat a snake that's longer than it? That would be like eating a piece of spaghetti as tall as a giraffe. Number 4, a tale of a python and a leopard. In the plains of Africa, the African rock pythons are deadly indeed. Many watch out for them and keep their distance, humans and animals alike. Pythons and their diet are pretty unusual compared to us humans or other mammals that we are familiar with. As you can see, we eat regularly, several meals a day, right? The pythons are not like that. They can swallow one big meal and go on for weeks without eating anything. But you can bet that when they get hungry, they get insanely hungry, and sometimes they get into trouble because of it. This is one such scenario. During a safari trip in South Africa's Kruger National Park, the safari goers witnessed what happens when you mess with the wrong mom at the wrong time. Yes, a hungry African rock python had attacked a leopard cub, and luckily the little feline managed to escape the vicious jaws of the python. But then the mommy leopard came to the rescue of her cub, and a vicious battle between the leopard and the python continued. It was indeed a rare sight, as leopards and pythons tend to evade each other, but not this time. The leopard mom was ready to make the python pay for what it did. Eventually, the leopard gave a deadly final blow to the rock python, and the mama and the little one had a good night's meal, feasting on python meat for the evening. But don't be fooled though, there are reported incidents of pythons swallowing full-grown leopards, but in most cases, those leopards were already dead. It is highly unlikely for a rock python to get a hold of an agile and active leopard. Number 3, the unusual diet of a Burmese python. So far, the pythons dominated the scene by setting records for swallowing the biggest and the weirdest stuff. And now it only gets weirder and bigger, of course. This Burmese python was so hungry that what it ate must have almost shocked it. Literally. Meet Houdini, a Burmese python living in America. He was so bored of eating his regular meaty meals that he wanted to try something entirely new. So he decided to swallow an entire queen-size electric blanket, that is, along with its electrical cord and control box. Now, how on earth did a python in a cage get to eat something like that? The owner later clarified. He said that he kept the blanket in the reptile's cage for warmth and that it must have become tangled up with the snake's rabbit dinner and went inside the cage. However, Houdini found himself in grave danger after his new meal. Obviously, it is indigestible. Luckily, Houdini's owner took him to a veterinarian where Houdini underwent a lengthy 2-hour-long surgery to take the blanket out. Luckily, thanks to the veterinarians, Houdini made it out safe and alive. And guess what? They assumed that it must have taken about 6 hours for Houdini to swallow the electrical blanket. And without medical attention, he was sure to die. Now, one last question. Why on earth is he named Houdini? Maybe because he too can perform incredible tasks, such as swallowing electrical items, like the actual escape artist Harry Houdini? Seems likely. Number 2. Little Boy's Misadventure. Back in 2002, a rare incident was reported from South Africa. A large rock python attacked, killed, and swallowed a 10-year-old child. Although it is rare that rock pythons assault grown humans, a child is almost nothing for these creatures. The child was strangled when the hungry python came upon him. It's truly a sad incident, but a reminder that nature is often scary. And now, we come to see the most gruesome and one of the biggest prey a snake has ever swallowed. A human, or rather, a very unfortunate human. Number 1. A man for breakfast. In the small, rural village of Sulawesi in Indonesia, Akbar was a simple villager who was working in the nearby palm oil field. One day, suddenly he disappeared and didn't show up to work. His fellow villagers, who knew Akbar's daily routine, smelled something fishy about this. They searched for him all over the place, and once they got to know for certain that something was definitely wrong, they called the police, and the frantic search for their missing friend continued. It was during this time some of the villagers noticed a humongous python who was not moving near a ditch. The python was none other than a reticulated python, one of the largest python species on the planet that can grow up to 25 feet long. This particular one was 23 feet long. What took the eye of the villagers was that its belly was so bloated that it looked like it was going to explode. The story didn't end well for the python though. The villagers, with the help of the police, captured the python and cut it open and found the lifeless body of Akbar inside of it. Animal behavioral scientists say it's highly unlikely for any python to attack and eat humans, but then again, it's a possibility that cannot be ruled out as well, as far as we have seen. And that is all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this and maybe even got a little grossed out. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button and the bell button so that you can stay updated with all the latest videos. Then subscribe if you haven't already, share the video if you think you know someone else who would enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.